Okay, so I'm going to continue reading part 2 for Friday, May 15th. I said March again? What in the world is wrong with Miss Help? Okay, so this is chapter 11, and we're going to learn about the game Quidditch today. As they entered November, the weather turned very cold. The mountains around the school became icy gray and the lake like chilled steel. Every morning the ground was covered in frost. Hagrid could be seen from the upstairs window defrosting broomsticks on the Quidditch field, bundled up in a long moleskin overcoat, rabbit fur gloves, and enormous beaver skin boots. The Quidditch season had begun. On Saturday, Harry would be playing in his first match after weeks of training, Gryffindor versus Slytherin. If Gryffindor won, they would move up into second place in the house championship. Hardly anyone had ever seen Harry play because Wood had decided that, as their secret weapon, Harry should be kept, well, secret. But the news that he was playing Seeker had leaked out somewhere somehow, and Harry didn't know which was worse. People telling him that he'd be brilliant, or people telling him that he'd be running around underneath him holding a mattress. That they'd be running underneath him holding a mattress. It was really lucky that Harry now had Hermione as a friend. He didn't know how he'd have gotten through all of his homework without her. What with all the last minute Quidditch practice Wood was making them do. She also lent him Quidditch Through the Ages, which turned out to be a very interesting read. Harry learned that there were 700 ways of committing a Quidditch foul, and that all of them happened during a World Cup match in 1473. That Seekers were usually the smallest and fastest players, and the most serious Quidditch accidents seemed to happen to them. That although people rarely died playing Quidditch, referees had been known to vanish and turn up months later in the Sahara Desert. Hermione had become a bit more relaxed about breaking rules since Harry and Ron had saved her from the mountain troll, and she was much nicer for it. The day before Harry's first Quidditch match, the three of them were out in the freezing courtyard during the break, and she had conjured them a bright blue flame that could be carried around in a jam jar. They were standing with their backs to it, getting warm, when Snape crossed the yard. Harry noticed at once that Snape was limping. Harry, Ron, and Hermione moved closer together to block the fire from view. They were sure it wouldn't be allowed. Unfortunately, something about their guilty faces caught Snape's eyes. He limped over. He hadn't seen the fire, but he seemed to be looking for something to tell them off for anyway. "What's that you've got there, Potter?" It was Quidditch Through the Ages, Harry showed him. "Library books should not be taken outside of the school," said Snape. "Give it to me. 5 points from Gryffindor." "He just made that rule up," Harry muttered angrily as Snape limped away. "Wonder what's wrong with his leg." "Dunno, but I hope it really hurts him," said Ron bitterly. The Gryffindor common room was very noisy that evening. Harry, Ron, and Hermione sat next to the window. Hermione was checking Harry and Ron's charms homework for them. She would never let them copy. How will you learn? But by asking her to read through it, they got the right answers anyway. Harry felt restless. He wanted Quidditch Through the Ages back to take his mind and his nerves off of tomorrow. Why should he be afraid of Snape? Getting up, he told Ron and Hermione if he was going to ask Snape if he could have it. "Better you than me," they said together, but Harry had an idea that Snape wouldn't refuse if there were other teachers listening. He made his way down to the staff room and knocked. There was no answer. He knocked again. Nothing. Perhaps Snape had left the book in there? It was worth a try. He pushed the door ajar and peered inside, and a horrible scene met his eyes. Snape and Filch were inside, alone. Snape was holding his robes above his knees. One of his legs was bloodied and mangled. Filch was handing Snape bandages. "Blasted thing," Snape was saying. "How are you supposed to keep your eyes on 3 heads at once?" Harry tried to shut the door quietly, but... "Potter!" Snape's face was twisted with fury as he dropped his robes quickly to hide his leg. Harry gulped. "I just wondered if I could have my book back." "Get out! Out!" Harry left before Snape could take any more points from Gryffindor. He sprinted back upstairs. "Did you get it?" Ron asked. In a low whisper, Harry told them what he'd seen. "You know what this means?" he finished breathlessly. "He tried to get past the three-headed dog on Halloween. That's where he was going when he saw him. He's after whatever it's guarding. And I'd bet my broomstick he let that troll in to make a diversion." Hermione's eyes were wide. "No, he wouldn't. I know he's not very nice, but he wouldn't try and steal something that Dumbledore was keeping safe." "Honestly, Hermione, you think all teachers are saints or something," snapped Ron. "I'm with Harry. I wouldn't put anything past Snape, but what's he after? What's that dog guarding?" Harry went to bed with his head buzzing with the same questions. Neville was snoring loudly, but Harry couldn't sleep. He tried to empty his mind. He needed to sleep. He had to He had to. He had his first Quidditch match in a few hours, but the expression on Snape's face when Harry had seen his leg wasn't easy to forget. The next morning dawned very bright and cold. The great hall was full of delicious smell of fried sausages and cheerful chatter of everyone looking forward to a good Quidditch match. "You gotta eat some breakfast." "I don't want anything. Just a bit of toast," said Hermione. "I'm not hungry." Harry felt terrible. In an hour's time he'd be walking out into the field. "Harry, you need your strength," said Seamus Finnegan. "Seekers are always the one who get clobbered by the other team." "Thanks, Seamus," said Harry, watching Seamus pile ketchup on his sausages. By 11 o'clock, the whole school seemed to be out in the stands for the Quidditch match. Many students had binoculars. The seats might be raised high in the air, but it was still difficult to see what was going on sometimes. Ron and Hermione joined Neville, Seamus, and Dean, the West Ham fan, up in the top row. As a surprise for Harry, they had painted a large banner on one of the sheets Scabbers had ruined. It said, "Potter for President," and Dean, who was good at drawing, had done a large Gryffindor line underneath it. Then Hermione had perfected a tricky little charm on it so that the paint flashed different colors. Meanwhile, in the locker room, Harry and the rest of the team were changing into their scarlet Quidditch robes. Slytherin would be playing in green. Wood cleared his throat for silence. "Okay, men," he said. "And women," said Chaser Angelina Johnson. "And women," Wood agreed. "This is it." "The big one," said Fred Weasley. "The one we've all been waiting for," said George. "We know Oliver's speech by heart," Fred told Harry. "We were on the team last year." "Be quiet, you two," said Wood. "This is the best team Gryffindor's had in years. We're going to win. I know it." He glared at them as if to say, "Or else." "Right, it's time. Good luck, all of you." Harry followed Fred and George out of the locker room, hoping his knees weren't going to give him away, and walking out onto the field with loud cheers. Madam Hooch was refereeing. She stood in the middle of the field waiting for the two teams, her broom in her hand. "Now I want a nice fair game, all of you," she said, once they were gathered around her. Harry noticed that she seemed to be speaking particularly to the Slytherin captain, Marcus Flint, a fifth year. Harry thought Flint looked as if he had some troll blood in him. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a fluttering banner high above, flashing "Potter for President" over the crowd. His heart skipped. He felt braver. "Mount your brooms, please." Harry clambered onto his Nimbus 2000. Madam Hooch gave a blast on her silver whistle. 15 brooms rose in the air, high into the air, and they were off. "And the quaffle is taken immediately by Angelina Johnson of Gryffindor. What an excellent chaser that girl is, and rather attractive, too." "Jordan!" "Sorry, Professor." The Weasley twins' friend, Lee Jordan, was doing the commentary for the match, closely watched by Professor McGonagall. "And she's building around up there." A neat pass to Alicia Spinner, a good find of Oliver Wood's, last year only a reserve, back to Johnson, and no, the Slytherins have taken the quaffle. Slytherin Captain Marcus Flint gains the quaffle, and off he goes. Flint flying like an eagle up there. He's going to... No! Stopped by an excellent move by Gryffindor keeper Wood, and the Gryffindors take the quaffle. That's Chaser Katie Bell of Gryffindor up there. Nice dive around Flint, off the field, and ouch! That must have hurt, hit in the back of the head by a bludger. Quaffle taken by the Slytherin. Sent his way by Fred or George Weasley, can't tell. Nice play by the Gryffindor beater anyway, and Johnson back in possession of the quaffle. "Gryffindor score!" Gryffindor cheers filled the cold air, and howls and moans from the Slytherin. "Budge up there! Move along! Hagrid!" Ron and Hermione squeezed together and to give Hagrid enough space to join them. "Been watching from my hut, but it ain't the same as being in the crowd. No sign of the snitch yet, eh?" "Nope," said Ron. "Harry hasn't had to do much yet." "Keep out of trouble, though. That's something," said Hagrid, raising his binoculars and peering skyward at the speck that was Harry. Way up above them, Harry was gliding over the game, squinting about for some sign of the snitch. This was part of his and Wood's game plan. "Keep out of the way until you catch sight of the snitch," Wood said. "We don't want you attacked before you have to be." When Angelina had scored, Harry had done a couple of loop-to-loops to let off his feelings. Now he was back to staring around for the snitch. Once he caught sight of a flash of gold, but it was just a reflection from one of the Weasleys' wristwatches. And once a bludger had decided to come pelting his way, more like a cannonball than anything. But Harry dodged it, and Fred Weasley came chasing after it. "All right there, Harry," he had time to yell. But as he beat the bludger furiously toward Marcus Flint. "Slytherin in possession," Lee Jordan was saying. Chaser Pusey ducks 2 bludgers, 2 Weasleys, the chaser ball, and speeds toward the... Wait a moment, was that the snitch? A murmur ran through the crowd as Adrian Pusey dropped the quaffle, too busy looking over his shoulder at the flash of gold that had passed his left ear. Harry saw it. In a great rush of excitement, he dived downward after the streak of gold. Slither and Seeker Terrence Higgs had seen it too. Neck and neck, they hurtled toward the snitch. All the chasers seemed to have forgotten what they were supposed to be doing, and they hung in midair to watch. Harry was faster than Higgs. He could see the little round ball, wings fluttering, speeding up ahead. He put on an extra spurt of speed. Wham! A roar of rage echoed from the Gryffindors below. Marcus Flint had blocked Harry on purpose, and Harry's broom spun off course. Harry holding on for dear life. "Foul!" screamed the Gryffindors. Madam Hooch spoke angrily to Flint and then ordered a free shot at the goalpost for Gryffindor. But in all the confusion, of course, the golden snitch had disappeared from sight again. And that is where we're going to stop for today. We're going to see what happens in the rest of that game tomorrow, and we are 60% of the way through the book. See you guys tomorrow, or Monday. See you Monday.